right, we are back and happy Tuesday evening as we continue along with our Stronger Together journey. And tonight we are going to welcome in two amazing educators, and we're going to welcome both of them as first time FETC participants and presenters. And it's always going to be a good interview when you start off when someone asks you to ask the guest about eating a cricket. So you know it's going to be a great interview and to learn about our educators, especially our first timers. So I'm going to welcome Heather in all the way from Texas. How you doing today?
I'm great.
Awesome. So for all of our listeners and viewers out there who don't know Heather Brantley, tell us who you are, where you're calling in from, and your journey in education.
Okay, I'm Heather Brantley. I am currently living in Longview, Texas. I teach in White Oak, Texas. I'm a sixth grade math middle school teacher. Yeah, middle school's fun. I've done realize that after a while, you kind of pick up some of their behaviors. That's been a lot of fun. I am married to my husband, Brendan, for 26 years, and we have two adult kids that are out doing life and loving it. So as I have extra free time and I have no one to play with, I started picking up some of this technology, a little, hey, let's try this out. What if we do this? And it's been a great adventure that's brought me into the path of some wonderful people.
So you say that so nonchalantly, like, "Ah, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that." It's not like you're trying Google Drive. You're trying like some high-end stuff. So I'd love for you to share some of the things that you've tried.
Okay, so it started out a couple of years ago. I picked up a merge cube and I was
Hmm.
like, oh, this is really cool. What else can we do with this? So then I got to playing around inside of CoSpaces, went blank there.
Okay.
As much as my students love it, like we have to reserve time for CoSpaces. And I had the students teach me. I was like, okay, here's this great platform. I'm not sure what to do. You tell me. And I've really, most of my big adventures are student led.
Okay.
I'm not the expert here. This is their comfort level. So if you ask them, like, hey, can you teach me? They're going to go learn it. And they're going to go learn it well. And then they bring it into the classroom and they show me and others. And then I'm like, oh, we've got to, pull the science teacher in. You just talked about science. So I'm running down the hall like, hey, you got to come see this.
Right.
So, living life in fear and, oh, I can't do that. I don't want to ever be in that group. So I'm an everyday lifetime learner. And if there's something new out there and something fun, and I really want my kids to be prepared for the future. And their future looks a lot different than mine. So, whenever I tell them, like, oh, our first phone lines were, party lines back in the day, and people had to wait their turn to get on the phone and it was corded, they're like, what? It's
And it
like,
was connected to the wall, right?
yes, like you had to hide in a closet or in the cupboard or something to get a private conversation. And then, a microwave was something that I didn't have in my home until I was close to 10 years old. So they're like blown away. I was like, it's moving fast. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, it's fascinating when you think about it that today, whatever day, whatever the technology the kids are using today in school is the worst technology they'll ever have.
absolutely.
It's only going to get better. It's only going to get faster. It's only going to get smaller. So, how do you keep up? What do you do to stay current?
Well, I've really have found that Twitter, and of course, Jamie Donnelly has been the best. I'm going to marry Alice. I have some incredible friends who are always going, have you tried this? Have you seen this? And I always ask questions like, okay, if it can do this, could it do something else?
Right.
You
Push
know,
yourself.
how can I tie this into my lesson? And if it doesn't exist, who do we need to talk to get it existing?
Right. What's next?
Yes.
And I think that kind of grit, how do you make that something you share with your students?
Well, okay, they're willing to learn and they know that I'm willing to try. So from the very beginning, I talk about relationships and trust. And just as they're trusting me to bring the knowledge that is required by the state for me to give them, I'm trusting them to keep me up to date also. So in that give take relationship, if you see something, you hear something, you want to try something, let's sit down and talk about it. Let's make a plan. So I think it's removing fear. What's the point of being scared of it? Worst case scenario, I mean, there was a time you said power it off, power it back on.
Right.
Worst case scenario, you email the developers and say, hey, created this problem.
Right. How are we going to? No, and I think that's great. And you had mentioned a few people as you start to learn and grow, and it's interesting that I had a chance to meet them both as well, and to see them at Nightscape and learn from them. How do you learn from other educators in the field?
You ask questions and you collaborate. And it's really one of those, hey, do you know anything about this? And if they don't, you go find someone.
Okay, and I think so. You had mentioned that this is your first time at FETC,
Correct.
and you said you like to remove risks, you like to try something. Well, the first time you're presenting at this large national conference, you decide to do this with 10 other people. And I'm fortunate to be one of those. But how did this come about?
Okay, so I was at lunch with Jamie. We were discussing at the time, I was just doing some AR, VR, not just some
Right.
incredible AR, VR sessions with Jamie. And
Jamie
Jamie,
Donnelly.
Jamie Donnelly and I had the pleasure of teaching her daughter. So that's where our connection came in.
Gotcha.
So remember me saying, hey, I want to know more. So I started asking questions, and Jamie has been a great resource. So Jamie and I were meeting, discussing what it looked like with FETC, with me co-presenting with her. And I said, hey, by the way, have you looked into this AI? Have you heard about Magic Write and Canva? And she was like, what are you talking about? So, I mean, this was all just very new. Like ChatGTP was out for like 2 weeks at this point.
Okay.
So I actually got to teach Jamie something new. So
Look
that's
at
like
that.
huge. Okay. So Jamie's always been that leader that has taught me so much. So Jamie's like, you got to share this. So it wasn't long. We were FaceTiming with Mary Alice. Mary Alice, have you seen this? This is incredible. And we spent forever on the phone going, can we do this? Can we do that?
Awesome.
It's such a great, easy to use learning tool. So Canva has created a very magical thing, and I love the name Magic Write because it is
Okay.
like magic happening in front of you. So it wasn't long. Jamie's like, you've got to show this to other people. I was like, set me up. So she did. So now I
Okay.
have my own session outside of doing, of course, with y'all. I'm going to also be doing a session on Magic Write and ChatGTP and just using AI in the classroom.
I like that. So, not that one, but you're going to do this one. So on Wednesday, make sure to check out Heather at 11 o'clock on Wednesday in room 228, 229. They must think you're going to be getting this huge crowd. They're like, this first timer is going to be drawing them in. We're giving her 2 rooms. So, as people flip through and look at the different things to attend, when they see that, what can they expect from that session?
Okay, we're going to talk about just how AI is changing education. One of the things that I think about is, remember whenever the iPod turned into an iPhone,
Yep.
and everybody's like, "Oh wow, did that just happen?" And now it's like we don't think anything about it. AI is going to be a hot topic for a period of time. And one of the big things for me that I'm seeing across the board, there's a lot of pros and cons. A lot of people want to block it. And for me, if we guide them and we approach this in the correct direction, that we can do so much more than having kids think that this is a new cheat system.
Sure.
So I am really hoping to talk about how it can be used across the grade levels. The music teacher came into my classroom just this last week. He was asking some questions about a math thing. And I said, I'm not sure about that, but hold on, let me ask Canva. So I pulled it up and he's like, hold on, I can do lesson plans. So we had the best time. So I love watching teachers' excitement of, oh, I can do this. Yes, you can. What else do you want to do? We're going to try it. And if it doesn't work, we'll try something else. So it's going to be more of that, but I really want it to be kind of a hands-on session. I don't want you just to come in and hear about it, because once you can touch it and you can actually use it in your personal life and you can connect with it, you're going to feel more comfortable walking out of my session using this on a daily basis.
And I think that's important. So I was an elementary school teacher and then an elementary school principal. And listening to some of the things that you're saying, it's really exciting, first of all. Second, I want to make sure our youngest learners have this opportunity. And one of your sessions is about using AR and VR with our youngest learners. So, and that's a 2 hour workshop. So, for all of you who are ready to get up Wednesday morning, 8 o'clock, get to room 357 to see Heather. And what are they going to see or do in that workshop?
Oh, it's all hands on. So, Jamie and I have come up. There's a lot of hands on activities. We're going to have headsets out. We're going to have merge cubes out, because once again, if you can touch it and see how easy it is to implement it, you're more willing to go back and implement it in your classroom and to share it with others.
Oh, that's like, how do you start? Like, how are you going to get the youngest, our teachers who are like, these kids can't do it. I don't want them to break it. Like, I hear that a lot. I don't want to break
Oh
it.
no,
How?
you're not going to break it. And if so, then, it's replaceable. It's materialistic, right?
Okay.
So don't be afraid of it, but it's more of, what are you doing in your classroom? How can we connect what you know to this? And a great example, I have a teacher who is an incredible reading teacher. And the students came in from her class. They're like, oh, we're learning about the Challenger. Where were you the day the Challenger blew up? I was like, oh, y'all are doing that in reading right now. So I ran over and I said, hey, have you seen Mission? Some of the NASA's got some incredible things inside the VR headset. They're free. So she was like, yeah, I'll definitely do it. And it went from one headsets, it went from, she had never touched a headset before, to going, hey, I figured out how to do that on my own. So once you are immersed in it and you realize that you're okay, it's getting over the scary part. It's kind of like after you get off the roller coaster, you go, oh, let's do that again.
Let's go. Let's run it back. I like that. And so, for all of you out there who are listening and watching and do not follow Heather, make sure to check her out. Her Twitter handle is below. And if you're like, I feel like I know that Twitter person, but not that handle, her handle has changed. She has updated it. She has come into the streamline, because one things that she's learning as you continue to evolve is you're being a brand and you're doing some great work. And just like you said with a roller coaster, you're afraid at first, you go in, you do it, and you come back for more. This being your first FETC, you're going to walk into 6,000 people in a massive arena. How are you feeling?
I'm fine. Because
Okay.
worst case scenario, they hate me, right?
No, first of all, that's not going to
Worst case
happen.
scenario.
Number one. Sure. Let's go. No. That's not the word. Don't go worst case scenario. They hate you. Like, Heather, like, is that where you can go? How about you don't get as many people as your session as you thought? How about that? Let's start there. I don't
Okay,
think anybody
well,
can hate you, because I know people and trust people who think very highly of you. So
oh, thank you.
that's not going to happen. So
No,
what are you excited for?
I'm excited just to be able to interact, because I learn from others on a daily, go back to that lifetime learner. I'm excited about the conversations. Maybe there's information that they have, but I think the biggest thing that I have really enjoyed with the magic of AI, it is new, and watching that first time just aha moment that these teachers and educators and students are having, and to be able not only to share that with them, but for them to be able to take it back and give it to others. I don't, there's not a lot of discouragement. So if I have one person in the room who can walk away and impact another person, then I've done my dues. I've, met my goals.
And I think
Now,
that's go
pack
ahead.
the room, let's pack the room. I'm fine with that. That doesn't bother me.
All right, let's pack the room. That's going to be
Pack the
Heather's
room.
hashtag, pack the room, because I think what you're going to learn from her is extraordinary. I've only actually known her for 19 minutes of my life, and I can't wait to learn more about your work. I like the attitude that you bring. I think coming together, I look forward to actually presenting together at the DigSit Institute with amazing educators across the board. And as we look at those graphics and as you share how you learn, it's about collaboration. And for
Absolutely.
me, I think that's where the original, the first book, Power of Connections, and then Stronger Together came to be, because I work better when I am closely aligned with other people. How about you? What does Stronger Together mean to you?
Oh, definitely. I have found that my pack of people, and it continues to grow. That's why I do what I do. It is about, it takes a unit, and it's not about one person. And it was funny. I was making notes yesterday. I'm going to share something.
Sure.
Um, and I thought like this was, can you see that? Let me
Yep.
go this way.
You're perfect. My powers are ordinary. Only my application brings me success.
And my application comes from a group of people. So my success is not about me. And, you know, I did for the last 3 years, I've been blessed to be able to do Global Maker Day in my classroom. And
Hmm.
it's not about highlighting me it's about highlighting my students and highlighting other people around me. It's not the show of what's happening in Miss Brantley's room. And, it's kind of like, oh, let me go grab the teacher next door, because it
Sure.
takes a village for all of us to get through a day. And I love my village. I have some great people. Guilty for bringing crickets into some of them's lives. So, but it's awesome.
So you brought up crickets. I wasn't going to let you out of here without talking about it. So you got to tell us about eating a cricket.
Okay, so while you're in New Orleans, I'm going to do a backstage many years ago. When my kids were small, we were in New Orleans, and the Insectarium in New Orleans, if you get the opportunity to go, at the end of the tour, they have a cafe. And in the cafe, there are crickets and worms, and they put them in cookies and all kinds of things. So with my kids, well, it was a friend that was near me. There was a dare. I ate a cricket. I realized I didn't die. It was okay.
Was it alive?
It was
Frozen?
no, they're dead. They're
Okay.
so freeze dried. They're crispy.
Okay.
So when a couple of actually it was TCA last year, I taught some teachers. We were out somewhere and crickets were actually on the nachos, and it was really weird. So I got them to eat crickets, and then it came up again when we were at Global Maker Day at Roper Mountain, and he was like, "Oh, we haven't eat a bug." And like you get a pen. I have my pen. I know Mary Alice and Jamie have their pen. Um,
Wonderful.
Amy has hers with Friday Tech, and so it was like, we're going to eat crickets and we're going to do it live.
I wish I knew that, because I talked to Amy today at 4 o'clock. So
Oh yeah.
I wish I knew that. And before I let you go, that's typically the last question I ask, but there's something very special about you, our connection in an event that's coming up, that you will be the first class to display and share Namia's book that was
Yes.
published through X Factor Publishing, which I'm very excited and proud of, and how Mary Alice and I came to be connected when she recommended Namia come to connect with me. So I'm really excited about that. And the books are actually already shipped to your class in school, so it's going to be super exciting. I can't wait for that to happen, and I truly thank you for making that possible.
Well, I am excited. My students are so excited. So we are looking forward to doing that. And they were asking, like, are you sure you're coming back from FETC to do that? I said, I'm positive. It's on the calendar. So we are just thrilled that we have the opportunity to visit with her and for the students to learn more about that.
Awesome. Well, Heather, it's been a pleasure to meet you. It's been a pleasure to hear about your journey. For all of you out there watching and listening, make sure to visit at heathertech.edu. If you're going down to New Orleans, make sure on Monday at 1:30, check out all of us in our session. And then throughout the few days on Wednesday, check her out at Magic of Writing with AI, and also ARVR for young learners on Wednesday. So Monday and Wednesday, packing it in, hashtag pack the room, and we'll be ready to go. So I thank you so much for stopping on, and I'll get a chance to meet you in New Orleans.
I'm looking forward to it.
Wonderful. So for all of you out there watching and listening, thanks, and continue to tune in as we have these amazing presenters all this week, and then multiple at the event going live from New Orleans. Heather, we'll see you down there.
Thanks.